Jason Wood. I'm an Air Force veteran, and I'm a mortgage loan officer. I've been in the loan business since 2001. So seen the roller coaster, the up and the down was pretty brutal. But I'm doing this podcast armed and ready because I saw the value in social media of just putting out content, right? I think we see so many people out there trying to advertise for themselves, for their own business, and they're throwing up a picture and saying, buy now. And I don't know that that's really what the followers or the viewers on social media want to see. Like, always buy now, buy with me, or look how great I am. I think social media, on top of seeing, staying in touch with friends and seeing, what people are up to and the shinier side of their life, is, getting some sort of value out of social media besides seeing, what someone had for dinner at the restaurant. So that's why I'm doing the podcast, is to provide some value and really bring some focus and attention to that military space. I know that, active duty military members, they listen to a lot of podcasts and are on social media. And a lot of times that's their form of entertainment, or the way to get away, especially when they're outside of the country and away from their families and stuff, that's kind of their go-to thing. So I figured, what better way than to provide some value to them, and something that would be interesting, right? That talks about, veterans and entrepreneurship, because not everybody is going to be in the military for 20 or 25 years and make a full career out of it. Some people are in for 1 or 2 enlistments and they've had their fill for whatever reason, or they got, really excited about doing something else in life, and that's totally okay. Nothing wrong with that. And I think that there's a big story to be told there for all those people who have started in the military and then branched out to do something else. So you've seen in the Armed and Ready podcast, I've done a lot of interviews with veterans, veteran entrepreneurs and stuff like that, talking about their story and everything. So I thought today we'd flip the script a little bit and tell you a little bit about me. Who am I and how did I get into this whole military niche? And for me, really, it started at a super young age. I've always been obsessed with being a pilot, and that was my life's dream and my life's goal, was to be a pilot. And as a young kid, the movie Top Gun came out, and of course, flying the F-14 Tomcat on an aircraft carrier and being Maverick, that was the dream. And so I always had this extreme passion for the military and aviation and fighter jets and just that excitement around it. And so when I got into high school, I joined the ROTC group there, which was definitely not the cool kids thing to do. But you know what? I really, really loved it. I got a lot of value out of the high school ROTC program. I climbed the ranks pretty high. By my senior year, I was running the entire brigade for our school district. And as a result of that, learning the path and direction and things I needed to do on the military side of things, I knew I needed to get some pilot training under my belt. I knew that I needed a college degree. I needed to be an officer to be a pilot. So those things are the ones that I knew I needed to do. And in high school, I knew I needed to be super involved in extracurricular things, sports, have really good grades. And so I hit all those tasks, and I got nominated to the military academies. I got an ROTC nomination to West Point. We were, at my high school, we were an Army ROTC program, so I got nominated to West Point. And then I pursued congressional nominations as well, and I got nominated to the Naval Academy, Air Force Academy, Coast Guard Academy, and Merchant Marine Academy. And so I had all these nominations. So in theory, I thought, oh my gosh, the world is my oyster. I just need to pick one. And for me, it was either the Naval Academy or the Air Force Academy, because that's who flies airplanes. And so as I pursued things forward, wasn't able to get into the schools. I didn't have high enough SAT scores. I kept retaking them because you can combine your highest scores. And for me, those standardized tests just did not make me shine. So I figured, without getting any mentorship or guidance, I figured, okay, well, the next thing I need to do then is prove to these academies that I can do college at the same level that I was able to do high school, and really kick butt at it. So I went to my local university, University of Nevada, Reno, enrolled there, and got involved in their ROTC program, extracurricular, student government, their jazz band, joined a fraternity, got super good grades, went applying again. And I got congressional nominations again to the Air Force Academy and the Naval Academy. And I thought, okay, for sure I'm a shoo-in. I'm going to be going to one of these academies. And they defaulted back to the SAT score thing. And I was like, but look, I can hack college. Like, look at all that I'm doing. And they're basically, it's like, nope, this is the standard, and you either meet it or you don't. And I didn't. So at that point, I wasn't sure where I was headed with my whole dream and desire to get into the military and fly airplanes. And so I finally started, talking to some people about it. And my dad, of all people, who was not in the military, a bunch of his college buddies did go into the military, and they all went into the Nevada Air National Guard. And when they were in there, the Guard flew F-4 Phantoms on a reconnaissance mission, really cool airplanes. And then a lot of them took the same career path that I was aiming to go for as well, which was fly in the military for a while, and then when you get out, fly commercial jets and make a really good living. You work like half the year. All the guys I know flying commercial airlines just have a great life. So that was now the new target. So joined the Nevada Air National Guard, went away to basic training in my tech school during the summer between my freshman and sophomore year of school. So I was in the Nevada Air National Guard through college while I still attended the University of Nevada. And then I did 2 enlistments there, and they have a pilot selection committee, and they select 1 pilot a year, and they switched over now to flying C-130s on a reconnaissance mission, and after they retired the F-4. And so that even fit my career goal even better, to fly a multi-engine airplane that was nice and slow, because it could build up flight hours and transition right into the commercial airlines. So that was now something pretty appealing to me. And so I got my private pilot's license, because that was kind of an unwritten requirement for this selection committee, and letters of recommendation, all that sort of stuff, and went in front of the board 3 different years. And my 3rd year was the last year of my 2nd enlistment, and I didn't get the pilot slot that last year. And by this time I had graduated college, so I had my degree. So I thought I was, a shoo-in, and I didn't get it. And so the decision came because I had already kind of fallen into the mortgage business by accident, like the very end of my college career. So I was doing mortgages, and I was at the end of my enlistment here with the National Guard, and I wasn't getting a pilot slot. I did get offered some officer position doing something else, but the job didn't sound that appealing to me. So I decided to get out, and didn't end up becoming a military aviator, which was always my dream. But when I got into the mortgage business, and that was totally by accident, it was through my fraternity brothers. And we started out at the very beginning as just a shop of like 5 or 6 of us, all fraternity brothers, young college guys having way too much fun together. But we started out doing VA refis, VA IRRRLs, and not knowing really what we were doing. But in the mortgage world, the VA IRRRL is the most simple loan to do, so it's a great loan to learn on and get taught. So that's what we started doing, and it took me a few years in the mortgage business to really understand the power of the VA loan. I'd say it was probably like 4 or 5 years later before I really fully understood what this thing was that was at our fingertips. And I had already purchased a house, didn't even use my VA loan the first time. I had no idea, and I should have, looking back at it, but I didn't. And so from there, started learning the value of the VA loan. But I was up in the Reno, Nevada market doing loans, and so there's not a lot of military up there. There's not a lot of VA loans to be done in that area. So the VA loan still wasn't a very prominent thing at the time. And it wasn't until I actually moved away from Reno and I moved down to the San Diego area that my boss at the time was like, dude, you should move down here and you should really focus in on that niche. You know the product super well. You're a veteran. You could really serve the community. And so that's when the light bulb kind of went off that, okay, this is the area of expertise that I really should hone my skills in and get going. And so then as I started to try and figure out how to be niched into the military market and the VA loan space, the big thing, aha moment hit me was, what is your why? Because, if you're trying to just get in and do military stuff, for money, that's the wrong reason, and I realized that as I was trying to figure it out, and I really had to determine what was my why. And, the cool thing about being in the San Diego market is it's one of the largest military markets in the country. So, you're always seeing like Ospreys flying over and helicopters and F-18s, and you see aircraft carriers in the bay and battleships out in the bay. And there's so much military presence here that being a military guy who loves the military just is really like invigorating and exciting. In fact, it's made me reconsider getting back into the military many times because I just love it so much. But that's what really helped me kind of determine what my why is. And my why is really being able to continue to serve just in a different way. So rather than strapping on boots and throwing a uniform on, the way that I serve is really giving back to the military community, showing them the opportunity that they have to create wealth through real estate. And, the military does a lot of things super, super well. They're really good at creating warriors and training leaders and preparing us for war. But the one thing that they don't spend any time training us on are the benefits and the perks we get from having served. And one of those is the great opportunity to build wealth through real estate. And if you look at anybody who's amassed a lot of wealth in the United States, by and large, they've done it through real estate. And so being in the military and having access to the VA loan could not be a more perfect design for people to create wealth. Not only are you getting paid, you got a secure job and everything like that, but the military gives you a basic allowance for housing, and that's tax-free money every month, and it varies based on your duty station and cost of living there. But that's tax-free money. The government's saying, hey, here, own a home, put a roof over your head. And a lot of people just default to living on base and giving that money to Lincoln Housing. Even if you compare Lincoln Housing's rental amount to the market that you're living in, they're making way more than the regular market. So it's really throwing money away badly. And then you look at, the government also gives you a tax benefit for having a mortgage, right? You can deduct some of that interest on your taxes. So there's two government influenced reasons why you should own a home if you're in the military. And then thirdly is you're accumulating equity in that home. This is an asset that will appreciate over time and help you to generate that wealth. And the beauty of all of this is when you're active duty in the military, you're getting PCS'd and you're changing duty stations every 3 or 5 years. And that gives you kind of a clean slate to go buy a home again. And so long as you're buying homes with a strategy and doing it intelligently and not just trying to get the coolest, biggest house everywhere you go, you can really leverage the VA loan and use it multiple times. I have some clients have 3 and 4 VA loans actively going. And because they've used it going to all these duty stations, but they were smart when they bought it. And that's the thing that I love to do, is to help teach not only here's a great benefit, buy a house, and it is. And that if you don't have a dream to build a real estate portfolio, there's nothing wrong with that either. But if your dream is to own a few more properties, we can really get into some deep strategy and talk about that. And that really has become my passion and my why, is like, how can I help you? I mean, you have this great career in the military, and provided nothing catastrophic ever happens to you, you may do 20 years and have an awesome retirement and then maybe get a disability award after that. But what else? I mean, a lot of people, when they get into the military, they're 18 to 20 years old. So you put in 20 years and you're in your early 40s. And today, being in your early 40s is still pretty young. I mean, you can have a whole nother career, or you have a whole nother lifetime ahead of you really at that point. And if you had done all this time in the military, now you're collecting some security, right? You have that retirement, maybe some disability money and stuff. And if you've purchased homes over this career, now you have some passive income coming from these rentals. And if you've played it smart and your goal is to also maintain these as part of your retirement package, well, shoot, some of these homes, when you've gotten out of the military, are starting to come closer to being paid off free and clear. By the time you're 50, you could have several of these homes owned free and clear, and you're still not at retirement age yet. So it's great passive income. It's great wealth accumulation opportunity. And I think that is something that just doesn't get highlighted enough. And so that really is my why. And the other thing that really started driving me pretty passionately to start teaching about the VA loan and really teaching it to real estate agents was I found that in most markets, even in San Diego, which is a heavy military market, that most markets have realtors that have been in the business for eons and have this really negative stigma about the VA loan. And 20 years ago, it was probably very warranted stigma. 20 years ago, the VA loan was not a friendly, easy to do loan. It was tough for a lot of reasons. But things have changed. And fast forward, and the VA loan is arguably the best and one of the easiest loans to get through, as long as you know what you're doing, right? It's not for the loan officer who does one VA loan a year. It's going to be hard for them, and that transaction's probably going to be tough. Just like anything that you don't do often, you're not practiced at it. Doesn't mean you're bad, but you're just not practiced at it. So my practice is VA loans, and so I love to really teach that to realtors, and I have a class and a series that I put on to teach realtors about the VA loan, because there's so much bias against the VA loan and their untruths that the realtors hold so dear to the heart, that I've been on some different events on base. I remember one of these events, it was like a career event at Camp Pendleton, and I was just talking to people. We had a booth there with my mortgage company at the time, and I was asking guys, hey, do you own a home? And a lot of people would walk by and say, yeah, I do. And then I would follow up that question real quickly as they're passing, say, hey, did you use your VA loan on it? And I got to tell you, the overwhelming majority said no. And then I would stop them and ask them, okay, what kind of loan did you use and why? And a lot of them said they used an FHA loan. And the reason was the realtor told them to, because it was better, and the VA loan wasn't a good loan. And that's a tragic lie. The FHA loan is the most expensive loan for any consumer to take. It has a very good place, and for the right situation, the FHA loan is beautiful. But when you have the opportunity, because you served and you have the VA loan available to you, the FHA loan is not a better consideration in any circumstance. It will cost you more money. And it was just infuriating to me that I was hearing from service member after service member after service member that their realtor told them to get an FHA loan. They wouldn't get their offer accepted with the VA loan. The VA loan's too hard. The appraisal will never come in. It's going to be a nightmare, so on and so forth. Just all these negative things. And to be honest, that realtor really just has zero knowledge about the loan. They maybe were in a transaction several years ago and it didn't go super duper smooth, and all of a sudden they blame it on the loan, and it's the most horrible thing on the planet. And so that was kind of the other push for my why, and why I got so heavy into the military space is I felt like this need that I have to help fix this problem, because it's kind of like a virus in the realtor community. One new realtor goes and asks the seasoned realtor about a VA loan, and that seasoned realtor got into the business in 1982, and they do 3 transactions every 2 years, and they know it all, and all of a sudden they think that you should never ever do a VA loan or accept a VA loan offer or anything like that. And so they start spreading that rumor throughout their office, and they're the aged senior real estate person in there that people seek advice from. So in a lot of these real estate offices, you have your super seasoned agent that's been in the business for 20, 30 years, and they probably don't do a lot of transactions at this point. But you'll have your younger agents that seek advice from them, and will ask them advice on, hey, I got a listing and I got a buyer coming in, and mention the VA loan, and this seasoned agent will just poop on their parade and tell them how terrible the VA loan is and all these bad things, and not to accept it or not to move forward with it. And that really has become my one of my purposes, besides helping the military and serving the military, is really like pushing this knowledge base to the realtors, because there's nothing wrong with it. It's the greatest loan there is out there, in my opinion, and there's no reason to say no or to tell someone who served our country that they can't own a piece of this land because of the loan type that you disagree with. And the reason you disagree with it, really, when you boil it down, is lack of knowledge and fear. So that's really, really my why. And I'm really trying to just provide good content, good knowledge for people. Yes, I would love it if they would use me as their loan guy, and help them with buying or refinancing their house. But at the end of the day, if I can just share that knowledge and help make the community at large, the military community and the real estate community, that much more knowledgeable on this amazing niche and this amazing program and product, then that's a win for me. That's a total win. And I know that, by doing the right thing and having my heart in the right place, the business will follow. And I think that was really kind of the game changer for me, was shifting my why to helping people rather than my why towards chasing a dollar. And I think when anybody gets to that point of rationalization in their business, that's when they see explosive growth, is when you're really doing it for the right reason, the reason that's in your heart. And so yeah, I've been blessed. I've had some good success as a result of that, and now I just continue to pursue it, and just help as many people as I can. I have loan officers from across the country call me and just ask me VA loan questions. Hey, I got a VA loan. I don't do them very often. You're the VA loan guy. I'm in the business, but do you care if I ask you a question? I think it's cool that, I'm able to help the loan community a little bit too. It's, in communities like where I used to live, you don't see a lot of VA loans. So it's not unreasonable for a really awesome loan officer to just not have much experience with the VA loan. That's totally reasonable. But even more reason why, if you are seeking a loan, that you should seek out someone that specializes in it. I sometimes I liken it to a doctor, right? Like if your arm is really hurting you, are you going to go to the dentist or are you going to go to your general practitioner, right? They both are doctors technically, right? They both have medical training and medical knowledge. But you would probably go to your general practitioner if you've got an issue in your arm, right? Or the dentist if you've got an issue with your teeth, because they specialize in that area, in that particular field. And so there's nothing different about that when it comes to your home loan or your finances. We really are a financial consultant to you and consulting you with the right loan products for you. And if you are eligible for the VA loan, then there's no reason why you shouldn't seek out somebody who specializes and that's their expertise. Yeah, on my podcast, so I ask everybody, the title of my podcast is Armed and Ready. And so I ask all of my guests on the show, what is your definition of being armed and ready as it pertains to you or your industry and stuff? And, a lot of that is preparedness. And I think to me what that means is really preparing the communities that I serve, the military community and the real estate community, preparing them with the knowledge that they need to execute and support our military in owning a home. And by that, it's putting on education seminars for realtors, education seminars for military, and a lot of times just having that strategy call. I've had so many calls with active military members that they're not going to buy a house for 6 to 8 months, but we're trying to build the strategy today. And we'll have several conversations about the strategy and dollar amounts and things like that, so that when they're ready to get after it, we've got this whole plan totally mapped out. And depending on where they get PCS 2, 3, or 5 years from then, we're prepared and we're ready to take down that next home and start building that portfolio. So being armed and ready, I think, is just really sharing that knowledge base of being prepared and myself being prepared with it. I'm constantly learning and educating myself and following, the different VA loan changes and the different bulletins that the VA puts out in regards to that stuff, just to stay sharp and to stay on edge with everything that's coming on, so that there's never any guesswork. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in today to the Armed and Ready podcast. My name is Jason Wood, Air Force veteran, the VA loan guy. If you have any questions about anything we talked about today, VA loans, reach out to me at valoanguy.us.